Okay, thank you everyone for being here and allowing us to present our project that we have worked on for 6 months. We are glad to have worked with Jackson County IT, our representative who is currently now here, Mariah, and being able to have Maggie as our advisor. Thank you. Now I'm going to go discuss our client. So our client is Jackson County IT, who has asked us to develop a web application for the Jackson County Counsel, who are a group of lawyers and administrators responsible for managing contractor contracts in the county. The council works with a vast array of different contractors, from roofers, plumbers, to catering service, and to organize these all, they each assign a group of contract types. So there are contract types for each type of work that they do, such as roofing, plumbing, catering, etc., which is where we come in with our application to make organizing contract templates based on their version easier to navigate and make changes if necessary. In the past, we did have an idea of designated contract types stated previously to the templates, but soon realized that that was not necessary as we were working through the project.
Currently, the Jackson County Council uses Microsoft Word documents to work on all their contract templates and are then further kept and maintained in a shared file system. While this may work for the short term, there are two major issues with their current system. The first issue is that it's confusing. If new templates are being created, templates end up moving, or if templates end up being updated by different people. The second main issue is that the current process relies on all Jackson County Council members knowing the exact file path for the appropriate contract templates. So here's an example of a contract template. The current template is currently in the shared file system, while the proposed template is the one they want to update with. Visually, these templates are completely different. How could these ever get mixed up? Well, they can. By using the same template name convention over and over, we will never be able to tell which template is the newer version or which was the older version. In addition to that, we're not dealing with one person making changes. We're dealing with a group of 12 different individuals, each one of them viewing, uploading, and updating these templates at the same time. That's where we come in with our web app in order to alleviate the process of organizing and searching for templates.
Thanks, Nelly. Before we can get started about talking about the web app, I'd talk about how the environment we use to set up the web app. You all saw this last term. We used Azure, Visual Studios, GitHub, as well as the .NET infrastructure with C# and Razor Pages. A few changes from last term. We had an Azure database as well as a web server. We dropped the web server as we found it was easier to work on a local host, and our client would also be working on a local host. So we wanted to simulate as close to our client as we could. So we decided to go with that, also making our life a lot easier and allowed us to not use Visual Studios. VS Code is easier for us. Visual Studios is what the client uses. However, the difference between the two doesn't really matter. It just helps them deploy easier on Visual Studios and is more of a preference. GitHub, y'all know, it just tracks different things, not a big talking point. The other thing we want to bring up again here is the .NET infrastructure. It was great. Our client, we were able to ask them about the SDK that they used last term. They are on the 6.0 SDK. That was great. They told us the version of C they wanted to use. That was great. We did forget to ask what servers they used. So we got a little nervous when we went to deploy for the first time. And then they came back and said they used Azure DevOps, and we rejoiced. It was amazing. They were able to deploy very easily with only changing a few lines of code to work with their system. And it was really nice using the three Visual Studios code, Azure, and the .NET infrastructure all together, as they're all Microsoft's babies. It just made it really nice too. They work so seamlessly together. It was amazing. Also, Razor Pages was awesome to work with, as it's such a expansive library and works so well and natively with the other three. We got through 9 out of 10 features, which was awesome. When we first started, we're like, this is going to be quick and easy. And then 6 months later, we're like, oh my God, this is crazy. There's so much more work to do. The only reason we didn't finish the 10th feature is because it's the ability to deactivate contract types. And we took away contract types pretty much as a whole and just focused on contract templates. Contract types was a way to distinguish between a roofing contract or a catering contract. When Jackson County Counsel would go into the system, originally they would be able to look for a contract type and then get the template associated with that. However, they use so few templates, there's about 12, that the contract template name will be sufficient enough to tell the difference between the different contract that they're going to go through, as well as the notes. They'll be able to distinguish between the two. And we also left the table in there in the database so that if Jackson County IT does want to go in and change that later, they're able to.
After determining our main features for the system, we realized our main users were going to consist of the Jackson County Council and Jackson County IT. Both user groups will have access to all features, and then we ended up making this decision because it will allow the Jackson County Council to use the web application to its full capacity, but also the Jackson County IT to easily maintain and fix the web server if it were to ever crash over the years that they've used the system.
All right, we're gonna do a live demo and Nelly will walk us through that.
So this is our current home web page. We have the main title, JCC template tracker with their icon. We also have a variety of tabs, the home tab, archive tab, and the activity tab. We are currently in the home tab where we can find the repository and where we can see all existing contract templates. We see their individual names, their version numbers, the dates that they were updated or uploaded, and their individual notes. Now you may notice that some of the notes are empty. We end up deciding that maybe someone doesn't want to have notes for this contract template. They don't have to have notes. In addition to that, we have a variety of different buttons. We have the download button, which just allows a user to download that specific contract template. And we have a plus new template button. Clicking this button will just redirect the user to our upload page.
So as you can see, this is currently our upload page. It can allow the user to choose a document from their file explorer, as Pete can demonstrate there, and they can upload it. They can create a name for that file, as well as create notes that may or may not be necessary. And after they put in the notes, etc., they can anyone on the web application can see comments made about that file. And from there it goes. Oh yeah.
So back at the home page, we can see that the template that Pete just uploaded is here. Currently, the template name, its version is 1. This is its new version. It's been uploaded, today's date, and the notes that he just wrote. On the right-hand side of each template, we have an update button. Clicking this button will end up redirecting the user to the update page.
Mm-hmm. So as you can see, currently the update page can choose an existing template in the repository. It can allow the user to replace that template with a newly created one from their file explorer, as they choose one. And they can write additional notes in that section if need be for better clarification when it is viewed in the repository. Yeah, okay. So now we are looking at the archive page. So the archive right now holds all previous versions of a contract template, including the name, old version, the date created, and any notes if applicable. This page also contains a download button if a user would like to re-download a previous version, just so. And if you need to roll back an older version as stated in that on the page, you can download the desired version from this page and then update the current version via the update page. Cool.
If we click the activity tab at the top of the page, we end up here, the activity log. And here a user is able to view all activity that has been made to the templates over the past year from today's current date. If any JCC member, though, decides to view anything older, they of course can contact that email at the top of the page. Here, we're able to see whether a template is currently in the repository based on the archive row. If true, the document is in the archive. If false, then the document can be found in the repository or the home tab. We also have date that the template was entered and the date it was replaced. You may notice that in some templates, the date replaced is empty. These templates have not been replaced with a newer version, and therefore there's no need for that date. Another fun feature that can be seen here is the creator row. And this allows for users to know who uploaded and updated templates as the year goes on.
Cool. Thanks, guys, for showing that off. There are a few things in the back end that we want to talk about that are just a little special. As we talked about, we used Razor Pages, which was awesome to use. It separates every page that we have into 2 files. We have an archive.cs.html and an archive.cs.html.cs. pretty much the .cs HTML is just a standard HTML page, and you can see we have a little bit of code that has C#, the HTML-esque, and then the other one is all just C#. For whatever reason, that's going berserk right now. That's okay for this demo. And this is the backend. In general, the HTML file is the front end, the .cs is the backend. And you can see for each page, we have two separate things, two separate files that generate that page. There's also a few other things in here that we won't talk about because we don't need to worry about now. Most features are implemented through those two files, making their page. However, update was special in that it needed 3 triggers to work. It was just the easiest way for them to work, and actually made our job a lot easier. We spent a lot of time trying to do things in C# as well as HTML when we realized we can just do this in the front end or in the database backend through triggers. 2 of these triggers are going to update the row of the template being replaced. So this archive after update trigger and update date superseded trigger. Those 2 are going to find the template being replaced through the template name. It's going to have the same template of the new version, and then it's going to have the version one less than the max. That's because the max version is the template being inserted. Those 2 where statements together help us find that template being replaced, and then we're able to change the archive to 1, which is really nice, as well as changing or inserting the date superseded as well as the version superseded to show that, you know, this is the version that's after it. Right now it's sequential 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you might be asking why we need that. That's in case we have other features like rollback, which weren't asked about, but were talked about, and we're put in the development documents if they want to add that later. So this is kind of there for future use. And then the other trigger is going to update version trigger. This is for the row being inserted. It just finds the row being inserted and then through inserted, very nice. And then it takes the max version that it currently sees in the template names in that hierarchy. So if template names roofer, we see 1, 2, 3, 4 is the max. It's going to add 1 to that, and this will be version 5. So those 3 triggers help make update possible. You can see there's a few things in here that are kind of duplicated. These could be made into less triggers. However, this is just what we ended up with over time. And cool. We're going to go back to the presentation. Cool. Now on to program testing. So after we did all that, we had to test our software, and we didn't just test it. You know, we didn't build everything and then test it, because that is a terrible way to go about things, and we'd never get anything working. First, we started by going, hey, here's a feature, let's get it working. Those 2 main features started, you know, with the repo. Create the repo to show, create the archive to show. Let's get the templates showing on there. Those were fairly simple. Those were views. The big features were things started to getting harder and we had to debug more was when we started doing upload and download. So we worked on upload. We were able to upload a document. We worked on download. We were able to download a document. Those were worked on separately. Then we had to do it together. So I want to upload a document and I want to be able to download that same document. So upload and download was working, but then those 2 together weren't working. So we had to debug that, make sure that they get working together. Doing that and adding on more features like update, as well as getting things to archive and other things like that led to unexpected bugs that led us to more testing. So when we started archiving things through update, we'd go to update and it would immediately go to the archive. Okay, we weren't really expecting that. Or maybe 2 versions were in the repo and then the 3rd one was in the archive. And it kind of kept doing that no matter how many we had. So there's always 2 current versions in the repo with n number being in the archive. So that just led to more bugs. That led to the majority of our testing. We could have been more thorough in our testing documentation. However, these were a lot of things that we just didn't think about beforehand. And as you can see, number 4 was the client helped us do a lot of the testing. We did 4 deployments with them early on in the last 2 weeks, and that led them to, you know, they were able to go find their own they're able to go through the software in their own way, go through different flows. They have more experience in testing, so they're able to find things that we weren't able to, have more eyes. And then just being the client, you know, that they had specifics that they wanted. So they came back with us a few times with notes. We were able to go in and clean that up. And then we were also able to put into the backlog known bugs or fixes that can be made in the future that we won't be able to make, but they're there for Jackson County IT as, a known bug. This is something that will happen when this happens, which is nice to have because it'll be easier to go in and implement and fix that in the long run.
I'm going to go over the team dynamic really quick. So for both terms, we still went for a Scrum style approach. We basically held each other accountable and host weekly meetings before our working sessions, as well as assigned tasks. This term, it was mostly self-paced, but we did have weekly plannings, and we also made sure that each person was held accountable for the feature that they had to do. But because of that, we had different types of development roles. So for me, I was still head of communications, but because I took upon the role of both the upload and the update, I also became the person for the backend development. For Nayeli, she was still the project manager, but because she was really good at doing front-end development and lead design, she became the head of that. And for Peter, he was mostly the person that helped us narrow down the nitty-gritty issues that we couldn't resolve, as well as manage and guide us and making sure the GitHub repo was up to date and that tasks were assigned accordingly.
Cool. So I want to thank everybody here for coming. And this is really cool that we have a fully working software that Jackson County will be able to use. Our application will provide Jackson County Counsel a streamlined, version controlled, simple and easy to use contract template management system. It will allow the council to increase their efficiency when searching and downloading, uploading and updating contracts, as well as creating accountability through the log table. And this will also make it more efficient for the console to correct mistakes and to see, oh, where did this happen, to not let it happen again. It's really cool to give this service to the county. We're providing this service as a whole to help rebuild Jackson County and do whatever future endeavors they have with less confusion and less mistakes. So it's really cool to be a part of that. I want to thank the team, Naily, Ronan. They worked really hard. It's a really fun term together, and we learned a lot working with our great client Mariah and Jackson County IT. Without them, clearly there'd be no software, but also without their support, understanding, and guidance, we wouldn't nearly learned as much and have such a cool software. They were really enjoyable to work with, and hope future clients are as enjoyable as them. And also want to thank Maggie for all the support she showed, as well as all the guidance that she gave and those extra set of eyes of being like, why did you do this? Or why isn't this? And it also taught us how to streamline and bridge the gap between client and manager better. How do we get better at saying, oh, no, this is actually, we did talk about this. Let's communicate that better. Finally, want to thank everybody for coming, especially the friends and family in the back, as well as just everybody else here that took time out of their day to come. Thank you all so much. Have a good summer.